Hey everybody, this is Rustin Rose with Access Entertainment, Metalholic Magazine, and joining us today, the legendary Axe Master himself, Mr. Michael Schenker, all the way from the UK. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, everything is going great. The sun is shining. I'm here in the UK, and we are only 1 month away from playing the States with the original lineup with the album lineup of Bridge the Gap and Spirit on a Mission with Hermann Rebel, Francis Buchholz, the original rhythm section of Rock You Like the Hurricane, Scorpions, and Wayne Findlay, who has been with me since '99, and MSG, and then Doogie White, ex-Rainbow, and we're basically only 1 month away, and we can't wait. This is the first time we're showing up with this lineup, and it's the first time I'm playing in the States with Herman and Francis. We did the Love Tribe album together, which was the last time we were in the studio together, and Bridge the Gap was basically the second album we have done together, and so and Spirit on a Mission is the third one.
Right. And Spirit on a Mission, as I just mentioned, is a fantastic album. I want to talk about that in just a few minutes. But I'd be a little remiss if I didn't dip into your legendary career, which it's at 40 years old and counting at this point. When most teens were out trying to get a girl, buy a car, not fail school, you were recording rock and roll music. Is that sort of somewhat surreal to you in hindsight to see how your life has played out?
When I started off very early, when I was 9 years old, and I made my first record with the Scorpions when I was 15, and the first UFO album after I left Scorpions and joined UFO, I was 17 and a half years old. I did the Phenomenon album with UFO, and then, every year another album, Fawcett, Lights, No Heavy Petting, Lights Out, Obsession, and Strangers in the Night, and then I went back to the Scorpions and did Love Tribe.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were, as everybody knows, you were like 15 years old when you recorded Lonesome Crow, the first Scorpions album.
What stands out to you most about making that record?
It's like this. It's the first record, and when we finished that record, and I heard the music coming out of the same radio, I heard Led Zeppelin coming, through 2 years before. That was the first. That was the most amazing thing. That when I was around 14 years old, after I played about 5 years guitar, when I heard Zeppelin and Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, that was the final, I knew exactly what I needed to do when I heard the distorted guitar sound and the great guitar players. So that's when everything changed for me. And so when I was 14, 15, I heard all of that music coming through that really old-fashioned radio that we used to have. And 2 years later, I finished a record with the Scorpions and listened to it through that same radio. That was amazing.
I could only imagine what had to be even a little bit more surreal is at the same time, you're still a teenager, you're playing in the Scorpions, you have a record out, you're working on a second record, and suddenly here comes UFO, and they want to steal you away. What was sort of going through your mind? Because you were sort of a shy kid from all tales. What was that like for you to be headhunted by another band?
Well, it was like this. I always told the Scorpions that if a British band would ever ask me to join, that I would. I told them that right from the beginning, and because I was developing so fast, and I was so keen on music. In Germany, everybody was listening to disco music, and apparently management wasn't even allowed in those days. So everything was kind of completely slow. And really too slow for me, and I just wanted to move forward. I was so excited about everything, and my vision was I wanted to, develop as a great guitar player, and so that's what I was into, and so when UFO asked me to join them, I did because from England, that's where all the music, most of the music that I fell in love with was coming from, and people understood what I was doing. In Germany, people had no clue.
Now, the interesting thing, though, is UFO, when you joined them, they were sort of playing this sort of space rock music thing going on, but you came in with all those amazing riffs that turned into songs like Rock Bottom and Doctor Doctor. Now, Phenomenon, that first album, has just turned 40 years old and stands as sort of a seminal rock album of that era. What was making that album with them like for you? What was that experience like?
Well, I always knew what I wanted, and when I was 17 and a half, I actually stopped listening to music, and I was focusing, I stopped copying other things, and I was focusing on pure self-expression. So, you are who you are, and so when I joined UFO and I started writing, that the whole band turned into something else, and so basically, it was all guitar-orientated music, and I was the main writer. I mean, Pete was writing more on the level of, he was more like into the Stones, and I was kind of more, into this, all these great guitarists kind of stuff.
Right. So, and then of course you got to work with Mog writing a lot of stuff, and Mog's got such an amazing voice. There seemed to be this magic there. How did you two connect creatively?
Well, he is a rat, and I am a horse by Chinese horoscope. I mean, I'm saying this because, I just kind of realized a few, like a while ago that, the singers with the great chemistry, they were all like rats, like Klaus Meine from Scorpions is a rat, Phil Mock is a rat, and so when I was telling Doogie about this, Doogie said to me, "Michael, you wouldn't believe it, I'm a rat." So I said, "Doogie, welcome to the club. This has potential for great creativity."
Nice, and I want to talk about Doogie here in just a minute because we want to talk about the fantastic new Temple of Rock project. I'll throw one more to you from history. It's a little bit more obscure because 25 years ago you did a little-known contraband project, sort of a supergroup thing. You didn't even write on it, really. You just performed on it. But how'd you get involved with that album, and what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, I was I just joined that management, Left Bank management, with Robin, and we had 6 months off, before the next album, and so I was approached by the management, like Warren DiMartini. He is a fan of mine, and quite a few in that on that management, and so when they were putting together this project, they wanted me to be the guitarist with, together with Tracy Guns, and so because I had time and I knew Warren, and and it was kind of an interesting project, I decided to do it, and but it was pretty chaotic because there was a lot of friction between Richard Black and Tracy Guns, and so after our first live show, they already had a fight, and that was the end.
Wow. See, the things that go on behind the scenes that nobody knows. Well, let's fast forward to today, because you guys are getting ready to release the third album in the Temple of Rock series, Spirit on a Mission. Now, you've always seemed more comfortable as a solo artist, but with Temple of Rock, it really seems to have the continuity of a band. Is that by choice or evolution?
Yeah, I'm going backwards. I'm going upside down. I'm going the opposite of my brother. Anyway, I mean, my vision was a completely different one than that of my brothers. Like I was focusing on becoming a great guitarist, and that's more like a single thing, and focusing on on group is more a group thing, and so. That's what I did, and I got all my things out of my system, all the things I wanted to do, the experiments with, of all musical experiments that I had to do in my own pace, because there was no touring band would have, I wouldn't have been able to do that with anybody, and so, I did the Love Drive album with the Scorpions after I left UFO, and I lent my brother the black and white Flying V design, and I helped him open the door for America with Love Drive. I gave my brother the blessing, and he took over, and I focused, on my own thing, like, experimenting with music, electric instrumentals, acoustic instrumentals, and all sorts of different things, focused on, personal development, etc., etc. And that was my second stage of my life. The first one was more all about developing as a guitarist and my musical contribution to the world in the 70s, created in the 70s for the 80s, and since 2008, somehow I decided I needed to be back in the loop of rock and roll. It's many people of that era, of my generation of rock, that I fell in love with, that started with Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, and bands like that. People are passing away, and Gary Moore, Ronnie James Dio, Elvin Lee, and Johnny Winter, and so many people already, not so much longer. It's going to be just, all a memory in this incredible era, that has lasted for, like around 50 years now.
Right.
And so I just want to put this to the foreground, one more time. I want to basically, my third stage of my life is all about celebrating that era and the things I've learned. And so, my middle years, I've done lots of the life of the university of school, and now it's celebration time.
Nice. Well, and Bridge the Gap was a huge album, the second album in the Temple of Rock series. Tell us about Spirit on a Mission from your perspective. Where are you going with that one compared to Bridge the Gap?
Well, Spirit on a Mission, I already knew when we finished Bridge the Gap what I wanted to do with, with the next album, and the thing I wanted to do is on Bridge the Gap I introduced the 7-string a little bit, and on the next album I wanted to do more of that, and that's exactly what we did. And so I asked Wayne to write a few riffs, and then I turned, I added my stuff to it and turned it into songs, and of course Dougie did incredible vocals, and so we basically discovered a additional chemistry that is, good for them to have and for development and to cover, because the 7-string adds, like a sound to it that wasn't really there before, and so now, combining the old with the new, we get a very good spectrum of expressions, like being able to put, as many emotions and sound things together from the past and the now as possible, and and focusing on a balanced album. It's a bit more like a book. You want to read a book from beginning to end and make sure that you get always entertained by it, and so that was the focus on this album.
And it really is a very well-balanced album. It's also very diverse. There's a nice mix between those sort of driving rockers that I know you're a big fan of, and then the groovier, more emotive songs, which I'm sure some of that heavier, deeper stuff that Wayne added with the 7-string added to that. There's a lot of diversity that connects well together on this record.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with it, and because I like the energy. I wanted to keep it very energetic and melodic and, hard, and then also deep and heavy. And so I think we captured quite a bit on that.
And we alluded to this earlier. You were talking about the Rats, so to speak. You've worked with so many amazing vocalists over the years, but I don't know that I've seen you over the last, 20, 30 years, work with another singer besides Doogie since Phil Mogg that you really had sort of that chemistry and connection with on this level.
Yeah, that was because he is a rat and Doogie is a rat. It's like the rat and the horse, the opposite poles. And the rat has a lot of what the horse has very little of, and the horse has a lot of what the rat has very little of. And so it's for creativity, very, 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 very big spectrum. It covers like both poles. By the way, my brother is a rat too, and so it seems to be a good chemistry for creativity.
Well, like I said, the album is fantastic. You really have some chemistry there with all 5 of you guys. You've written so many fantastic riffs throughout your career. Is there one of those riffs that still inspires you, gives you chills, that you just can never give up playing?
Well, I love to play rock bottom because it's always in the middle there. I have all this space to just go somewhere completely, on a different adventure. And that's my favorite because at that song I can, always, it's good for guitar playing and the riff is great and, people love the song and so it's always a highlight to play.
Michael Schenker, the new album, Spirit on a Mission, Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock. You're sort of just really trying to build that into Temple of Rock, just make that a band, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's really, we're using Michael Schenker as a platform, and, Bridge the Gap it's like a long story. It really came out of nowhere, step by step, but since the first Temple of Rock that Michael Voss was singing, and then Bridge the Gap, and Francis was joining, and now Spirit on a Mission. So it's all developing, and we're using Michael Schenker as a platform, and I hope, I think around after the third album, another album, and I think, that this band can stand on its own feet.
Absolutely. I think you may already be there. Michael Schenker, thanks so much for taking the time. It's an honor to speak with you, and we look forward to seeing you on the road with the guys.
Thank you very much. Take care.